So I'm Dr. Sara Saeed Khurram. I'm 37 years old. I am a mother of two young girls, and I've been brought up in Karachi, Pakistan. I did my initial schooling in Karachi, and then I went to a medical college in Pakistan called the Medical College. And I think I come from um, that part of society, which we call the middle class or the upper middle class society, where when parents have money or they keep money and when they have a daughter, they want their daughter to become a doctor because that is somehow thought that it's going to raise their social stature and the woman's social stature and make her very noble. So I was the third of two brothers. So I think when I was 5 years old, my parents told me that I have to become a doctor, and then it was their lifelong dream that I become one. All in my life, I just studied to enter into that medical college. And when I entered into the medical college, I saw that 90% of my class was also women, and majority of them had been fed the same dream, which we call now the Dr. Bride or the Dr. Girl phenomenon in Pakistan. Unfortunately, what I saw in the 5 years of medical college was that all my peers or my friends who came with big aspirations to become great doctors and were very good in studies, suddenly the aspirations were changed or were made to change to kind of have a family or give up their medical career to stay at home or get married because suddenly it was an issue of women not working after marriage or that not considered to be very normal in our society. So a lot of them started getting married and having children and just dropped out of their medical career. So a lot of them, unfortunately, never started their medical career. They just got the degree, but they never started. It was a little different for me. So two instances really shaped me as a doctor. I was in my last year of my house job, and I worked in medicine and gynecology in the hospital, and I saw a lot of patients um, who came in the biggest tertiary care hospital in Pakistan. I thought just to die comfortably. So they came with issues that could have been handled at a primary care level, but because they didn't have any doctor in their community, because they didn't have any qualified healthcare help, their issues kind of propagated to severe health conditions. And by the time they reached the hospital, it was just a way for their family to feel nice about themselves that they finally brought them to a hospital. But at a point, the doctors couldn't really do much about them. So I saw a lot of patients dying of heart failure and kidney issues and diabetic issues and obstructed labor and malnutrition that could have been handled very easily at their community level. So that was like a first time that I felt really needed as a doctor. I think I got married right after my graduation as well. So I also became that Dr. Bride or Dr. Babu. But I started my residency in radiology. I had to quit after a year because I got pregnant and I started working in a clinic, in a community clinic in Karachi, just to fill time in my pregnancy and to be useful. And in that time, I saw patients in the community firsthand. So that was my first instance, second instance to be needed as a doctor. That one I saw in a tertiary care hospital where we weren't helpful, but then at a primary care clinic because I was extremely helpful because I was there, the first gatekeeper for patients to come in and get treated. So I did that, and after my delivery of my first daughter, I moved to a new city. I moved to Lahore, and there I couldn't work because I couldn't leave my daughter at home. So I was at home. I was bored. I went into postpartum depression. I felt very useless as a medical professional, and it suddenly hit me that I might not be able to work anymore. And somehow everyone around me was very casual about it. That this is maybe the part of life that is going to come to me very naturally, but it didn't. But I was very unhappy and I wanted to do something. So I got reconnected to the nurse that I used to work with in my clinic in Karachi, and they couldn't find a doctor to replace me in that community because a lot of women doctors don't travel to slums to work also. So we started doing call consultations just for me to facilitate that nurse to see patients better. And we converted to video consultations, which is I was on a video and I was consulting patients in that clinic through that nurse. And sitting there, this idea just came up that, if I, being a female doctor, can provide consultations to patients in far-off communities, why can't we create this network of women doctors that can do the same? And that's what Sehat Kahani is today. It's a digital healthcare platform that connects a large portion of female doctors to patients across Pakistan using a chat audio video consultation platform. At that time in my life, I had like two I was at a crossroads, so I could either pilot this idea or continue my journey maybe at home or as a clinical professional. I think my family and everyone around me thought that second option was better. But I entered into a startup competition and I won a grant money. And somewhere, and at that time, the person who's handing me the grant money, he said that I'm giving you this so that you can not only do this in Pakistan but also in Nepal, which is where the competition was being held. So I'm an emotional, impulsive person that just sat in my head, and I came back and I said, someone has trusted me with a lot of money, and I need to implement and pilot the idea. So I started with one clinic, recreating that solution in one clinic, and the rest is history. So initially, the idea was to create clinics in low-income areas where nurses were already sitting, and when a patient comes to them, they connect the patient to an online doctor. And this was made for areas where people don't have access to doctors, particularly women don't have access to female doctors, and that's what we started with. For 2 years, we made these clinics. As we evolved in our entrepreneurial journey, what me and my co-founder, we realized that there were two gaps in our model. One was that the clinics could sustain themselves and break even at their own unit structure, but we couldn't create a lot of cash for them to run the entire company. Also, what we saw that by this time in 2017-18, a lot of apps were coming in, technology was becoming accessible. People were using digital wallets, they were using WhatsApp. There was a lot of internet accessibility, connectivity had improved across Pakistan. So we thought that we were limiting ourselves, just keeping our solution in low-income areas. We then thought that we would make a product that would be available for the mass market. So anyone who has a smartphone downloads our app and gets connected to a doctor. One thing that we saw in our clinics when patients came in and they didn't have to wait and get connected to a doctor instantly, that just created that aha moment in their life. And we thought that, okay, we make the app with a feature where you can download it and connect to a doctor in less than 60 seconds. Now, both me and my co-founder are non-tech medical people. So obviously when we took this idea and told investors or advisors or mentors, they just thought we got crazy. They said not to do it and continue with our social enterprise and not get into a tech business. But me and my co-founder thought that let's try it. The most that can happen, it doesn't work. But we should try it if we think that this can solve a major problem for the country. Pakistan is a country where there's half a doctor per 1,000 patients. Majority of these doctors work in the urban area. So we knew that there's a definite problem of quality, of accessibility, of affordability. So we made the app, and right when we launched it, 2 months later, COVID happened. So we had an app. We had an app, first MVP of an app that not a lot of people were using at that time. But when COVID came, the government at that time reached out to us and said, we want to give an app to the people that they can do consultations at home because everything is going in lockdown. And we just took that opportunity and we ran with it. We made the app free for 6 months. It was used all over Pakistan. What it did was that it accelerated our app growth. So whatever we had planned for like 3-4 years, it happened in 6 months. A lot of doctors joined the app, a lot of patients came, there was rapid learning, we set up a call center to help patients. So much learning and work happened in those 6 months that suddenly we thought that, okay, what else we can do for the app? So we had the clinics that were working, we had the app that was working, but for free. So still we weren't making money, the kind of money that we envisioned that our app should make. So at that time, we thought that we should give our app to corporates for their employees and families, so that this can be a value-add service given from the company for their employees, and we can earn some money in the mix. So we started giving our app during COVID to different companies. Obviously, because companies were in a lockdown, employees were at home, this seemed like a great value-add service. So companies just took it and started using it. And because their user journey was great, a lot of companies started coming in. Eventually, we started working with insurance companies to make it a value-added product or an OPD product coupled with inpatient insurance, and we give it to all the corporates that are insured by the insurance company. So today, Sehat Kahani has 3 verticals of business. We have our corporate application that allows corporate employees and their families to access online doctors. We added corporate pharmacy, lab services, and we're adding home healthcare now. That's a set of service that is completely B2B. Then we have a consumer application that allows a patient to use the app individually. They can pay through pay-as-you-go subscription plans. Again, they can order pharmacy, labs, do online consultations. And then we have our network of clinics as well, which is still running across the country. And we expanded that into more hard to reach areas as we went forward. So now we have a nationwide presence from 𝗘𝗱𝗶𝗁, 𝗘𝗱𝗶𝗁, which is and Kashmir, as well as Pata, which is the newly merged districts of PPA as well. I think there were a lot of problems that have come into the way. I think creating an impact business which has a profit plus purpose model, which is something which is unheard of, and even not that popular today. I think convincing people around you to invest in that idea, to relate with that idea, the idea of female leadership running a company, to get people to realize that we can provide a good quality service to, for example, corporations or major banks or insurance companies, which is mainly male dominated even today. To get that trust from our customers, from our partners, from our investors, that this company can go big and can go well. I think that is still the biggest challenge that we face. And I think one that we've overcome as well with a lot of hard work, with good quality services, with prepping ourselves as leaders and founders, with creating a network of advisors, collaborators, mentors, and really making sure that the word is out there that Sehat Kahani is a product everyone should have. I think when we launched the corporate product, we had this, everyone in the market said that this is not the way to go, consumer is the way to go. And me and my co-founder were very, very stuck on the fact that if we have a solid B2B base, it's going to be better for our company. And now, as 3 years have passed to our corporate solution, I think if you go into a corporate in Pakistan and you say telemedicine, then they don't say, do you have telemedicine app? They say, do you have Sehat Kahani? So I think that's a big testament. And we've cannibalized the market in the corporate portfolio. It makes it difficult for newer players to enter, which is something that we are proud of. A lot of humility. I think competition, Sehat Kahani we have competition in bits and pieces because there's no other company in Pakistan that has a corporate portfolio, consumer portfolio, and a clinical portfolio. So there is no other company in Pakistan that has a nationwide telemedicine clinical network. No one has been able to crack that code and how to create a sustainable model in low-income areas. On the corporate front, we are the market leaders. We have majority of the market share right now. There are other players who are trying to replicate what we are doing and add a few services here and there. But I think we've won the market's trust. In the consumer space, yes, there are other applications that are available. There is Oladol, there is Marham, and there are amazing new players coming up as well. I truly feel that we need at least 20 to 30 digital healthcare players in Pakistan to disrupt the market. It's 240 million people, 120 million people with no access to healthcare. And I truly think that as an ecosystem, as a digital healthcare ecosystem, when we have a lot of players, we'll be taken more seriously, we'll be able to drive policy, we'll be able to make changes in the current healthcare ecosystem. And if we unify in our efforts, we'll be able to create better and bigger change in the country in terms of health and digital health. I think the idea that it is 360, so the motto of the company is we don't leave any patient behind, and we democratize healthcare access for all using technology. So the idea that we have a corporate product which has a complete OPD management system, we have a consumer care product, we have a clinical portfolio, we have the ability to integrate with third-party applications, we have a whole telemedicine suite available for any white labeling integration as well. And the ability that we can create faster routes of expansion as compared to our competitors because of the agility of the app, the agility of the platform. I think the biggest X factor on top of that is our team. I think we have an amazing team who are now subject matter experts of telemedicine in the country. And as they grow forward in our company's life cycle, they're gaining more and more insights to make them more valuable. I think one of the superpowers that I think Sehat Kahani has is we're a female-led company with 60% female leadership, not just me and my co-founder, but other team members as well. So I think we're able to create a very empathetic solution which really cares about the patient. So it comes from a very nurturing angle that women see more than men, as I believe. And fourth, I think one thing that's not there, or I see it as our strength as competitors, is we never get satisfied. We're always hungry for more products, for more services, for gaining new high. Right now, we're launching our regional product outside Pakistan, so that's a new vision that me and my co-founder have set. So I think these are all differentiating factors that I see Sehat Kahani excelling in as compared to other competitors. I think the biggest bump is your own understanding or ability to scale a business. I've heard it from a lot of people that founders are not the best people to scale businesses because they don't carry the same skill set. But you have to learn that skill set, and and the best way you can learn is to take teachings from people who are around you who are doing it. So I think we're quick adapters, we learn quickly. So enabling ourselves to get into that growth mindset and come out of that startup mindset, I think that has been the biggest bump, and that has been a learning journey for over 1.5 years. I think as you grow, the biggest investment that you need to make of your time is your team. Because if the team is working, if the team is happy, if the team is empowered, work is going to happen. Otherwise, you cannot do everything yourself and you cannot micromanage everything. So you need good managers, good leaders in your company to work and delegate with and kind of take ownership to face all the disasters and failures with you. So I think that's the second bump that we've overcome in a long time. Third, I think creating enough investment opportunity for your business to keep growing and not falter on that growth curve. I think that's also important. We're a business who doesn't need a lot of cash to run because we are a tech-based business, but still we do need enough cash in different pockets of time, and we do need to constantly fundraise to create that cash. And as a female-led health tech impact focused company, the funnel of investment becomes a little narrow. However, now I feel that with time, I think that funnel is opening up to female-led businesses. So fundraising has become a little easier for us, but definitely learning the ability to fundraise and to get that money into the business from time to time is definitely a bump that we've overcome. Fourth, I think, and that I think still exists today, is how to make sure that you're taken seriously in the corporate world that we exist as a female-led business, young, with a USP that we bring female doctors back to work. So I think just making sure that people take our product seriously, people when they use it, they have a good user experience. They don't question us on our ability to create a good quality product for our customers has been a bump that we've overcome with a lot of effort on the product. We have a consultation option within 60 seconds, and we've maintained the missed call rate on that under 7% over the last 12 months, which is remarkable. And even if someone gets their call missed, we call them back within 15 minutes to connect to another doctor. Now, this is a line that I'm saying, but in order to do that, it requires 24/7 customer support service, always on their toes to be able to connect you with various doctors, a very committed doctor workforce that we have. So to achieve that product quality, that people trust you as a big corporate giving their employees lives in you, I think that has been one of the most challenging bumps that I face on a day-to-day basis, and one that we strive to do not have as we move forward. So we were when we were raising our first round, our first seed round, and this is when we didn't have the app. We had only a network of clinics, so this was a typical social enterprise raising. We had a lot of challenges. We went to a lot of at that time, venture capital was not that common in Pakistan, so we went to like very traditional private equity funds and family offices. And some of the things we heard was, that give us 70% of your company because you're going to have children and you're going to give up someday or the other. So it's good that it's in safe hands instead of our hands. There were a lot of questions on our commitment to our company because people thought that someday we just leave and vanish into thin air. But I think I got my first investor through a very kind gentleman called Raza Mateen. He was my mentor in a competition. So more than the competition, I was interested in asking him to connect me to investors. And he was very kind and he connected us to our first investor. And I still remember when we were collecting our check from the first investor that we had, Ifat was about to deliver her second child, and I was 7 months pregnant. And when we went to receive our check from the first investor, he kind of looked at us both, and he didn't know how to ask. We were expecting the baby. It was a little awkward. But I think kudos to him for entrusting us even at that time. He gave us the check and he said, have big hopes of Sehat Kahani as soon as you're done. Let's take it to new heights. So I was very, very thrilled to have him as an investor. and he still is an investor in the company today. But it was an interesting time where a lot of people thought that after we raised our round and had our second kid, we might not come back to work and we might not deliver on the promises that we made. But Alhamdulillah, we did. And I think post our second investment, we have consistently grown 2x to 3x every year. I think the first thing you need to do is you need to create a very, very big base of investors. You need to create a pipeline, and your pipeline needs to have at least 1,000 to 2,000 names. That's where you need to start with. One thing that I've learned is whenever we start looking for investment, our pool is very small. So we go to the easiest people we can reach out to, eliminating the most difficult or new conversations. So every time when we are fundraising, we try to expand our pool as compared to our previous round. Because if you reach out to 1,000 people, then around 200, 300 will get back to you, and then the funnel keeps getting shorter and shorter. So at one time, you should have at least 5 to 10 conversations at different levels, because one or two with them would actually give you the money. The second thing is that there is a very, very high rejection rate when you're fundraising. A lot of people say no, not because they don't find your product well, because it's not a sector that they're interested in, it's not the right time for them, maybe they're raising their own fund, maybe the story doesn't click with them. So whenever someone says no to you, whenever you tell them, okay, if you can't invest, please refer us to someone that can help us. So always keep that conversation open, never end it at a bad note, even if someone has said no. So I think that's my second trait, that I always keep that conversation open. Third thing is, they don't know you. After a conversation, after the conversation is over, or even if the conversation is ongoing, they don't know what you're doing. So keep them engaged by sending them very small updates around your business. To the entire funnel that you're focusing on, keep sending them small updates, keep interacting with them on phone calls or audio notes or WhatsApp. Just keep them engaged. People who you think might be a good fit for you in the upcoming rounds. Keep them engaged, keep telling them the good stories about your business. And over time, whatever funnel you're creating that is investing in you, just make sure that you're very deeply engaged with them. So you send them very timely updates. They know what's going in and out in the business. Be very transparent with them if things are not going the way they are. Because the investor-investee relationship is like a trust-based relationship. And the more they trust you, the more money is going to come your way. So when COVID came in, we had our app, but the primary bread and butter of the company still was the clinics. And our clinics shut down because of the lockdown. And we were sitting in our boardroom on, I think, 15th of March. And we took a decision as a company that the entire company's workforce will now focus on the app. And we took that decision in like 3 hours. Because we knew that if there was such a time to instill people's faith in telemedicine, it was that time. Because as the country was going into a lockdown and people were afraid of going to physical doctors, what better setting to expose people to telemedicine? And then we got the government partnership, which amplified our efforts. So in our history, we used COVID as a great opportunity. I remember when all my friends and peers were cooking and cleaning and baking and gardening. We were working 16 to 20 hours a day. We opened our call center on the 18th of March, and it hasn't stopped till today. It has worked 24/7 in all circumstances. So we really put in a lot of effort. The team at that time was really unified because we wanted to serve the country at a difficult time. We wanted to make sure people use telemedicine, and we wanted to grow. And all three ambitions came together and really created something beautiful where doctors were coming in 24/7, patients were coming on the app. It increased from like 100 to 200 to 1,000 on the 4th day. And we were able to take that load. We had a doctor who delivered a baby and came back within 24 hours to keep serving the patients on the app. So that was the kind of the jazba and passion that we had. But then after a couple of months where we knew our app was working, it's a nice product that people want, we then very smartly moved towards the monetization part. And I think that is how the journey of company really changed, that we launched our B2B product. And we reached to each and every corporate in our circle that we knew to try the product, to take the retainer from us for a year. And one thing that we did was we made everyone the sales people in the company. So we told everyone that if you bring a sale, we'll get the commission, but we need as many corporates on board as we can. And literally some of our best corporates came from like the executive or the junior employees in the company, because they were able to use their community contacts or their neighborhood contacts or their uncle contact to give us that company. And once we had one good company, someone sitting on their board who tried the product recommended us to another company, and that's how the chain effect or the nuclear reactor effect, if you call it, happened. And the rest is history. I think that amplified growth that we got between 2020 and 21 really had an impact on the upcoming years. We were able to raise our second round of pre-series A funding at the end of 2021, and that really helped us amplify our company's growth. I think the hardest part again is to create believability and relatability to the product. Even today, when I go into sectors which are very traditional, it's very hard for people to believe that an online consultation is as good as a physical consultation. I believe that. I think you should never go to a doctor in person for your first visit. It should always be done on call or on video. It saves so much time, effort, money for the patient, the stress of going to a doctor and waiting. But to make sure that people valued what we were building didn't come so easily. So it started with very small amount of patients using our app, they telling other people. So I think just working on the product, the service again and again, its monetization, its user journey, what screens work for people, what kind of call center services work, just meticulously working on that service delivery has been the most difficult part, and it still continues to be today, because as we get more customers, they have more demands and more feedback, and we continue to iterate even today. Yeah, I think there is no question that technology is not the answer to our health problems. Again, we have half a doctor for 1,000 patients, 85% work in urban areas. We don't have beds, we don't have tertiary care hospitals enough for our population. Our healthcare indicators are not improving. So we still have high maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate. We are the worst country in the world to have the highest diabetes rate. Heart failure rates are increasing. For all these issues, they stem from not having access to doctors, infrastructure, medicine, and in terms of value, it stems down to quality, accessibility, and affordability. And to surpass all these barriers, the simple answer is to connect patient to these sources quickly, easily, and with affordability. So it's not just telemedicine. When a patient goes to a primary care hospital, which is the way patients should go in a public healthcare ecosystem, their data does not transfer from primary care to tertiary care. And when they go to primary care, they have to carry a file, and then they go to secondary care, they have to carry the file into tertiary care. And the process, they get bombarded with so many processes that they drop out at some place. It's interoperability between different hospitals. So if I'm going to a hospital today, if I'm going to a private hospital in Karachi versus going in Islamabad, my data should automatically go from one hospital to another, but that doesn't happen. Medicine delivery is such a big problem in Pakistan. Accessing a lab service, a quality lab service. All of this can be done extremely transparently, easily, and with affordability, using digital health solutions. Digital EMRs are available, telemedicine is available, blockchain technology is available, wearables are available. I think another big gap that Pakistan has is home healthcare. When we have chronically or critically sick patients that can't afford hospital care, we don't have at-home care, we don't have hospice care, we don't have healthcare for special needs patients. One big area that is such a big problem in Pakistan is access to mental health services. We have 500 psychiatrists and psychologists for 240 million people. The math is out of proportion. How easy it is to get a mental health specialist online and consult with them. And it can become much more cheaper for the patient, because mental health access is a privilege in the country from affordability point of view. So I think so many issues around primary, secondary, and tertiary care can be handled extremely well if we include technology in bits and pieces, and absolutely that is the answer for a big country like ours.